The war metaphor is a driving force in practically every area of our lives, like love. All's fair in love and war. There's a battle between the sexes that's been going on for centuries, if not more. And art is full of images and music that equate love and war. Or what about medicine? Modern medical doctors aggressively fight the enemy, disease, using their pharmaceutical and surgical weaponry, their words, not mine. Unfortunately, the battlefield is often the bodies of their patients. The Journal of the American Medical Association has recently declared medical care as the third cause of death behind heart disease and cancer. What about business? Not too long ago, I was attending a marketing seminar, and one of the participants asked, why do we have to learn how to overcome or how to deal with customers' resistance to buying what we have to sell? I thought about it for like half a second, and I jumped up and I said, maybe because we're here at a marketing boot camp, sharpening our marketing weapons so we can target our customers, overcome their objections, and win their business so we can crush the competition. What about you? How often do you think about parts of your life and your work as being in the trenches or being on a battlefield? Do you ever, when you're thinking about what shall I discuss with a loved one or a coworker, do you ever think of it in terms of picking your battles? How many of you speak about the people who agree with you as your allies, and that would make those who disagree with you your enemies? Yes. The war metaphor is rampant in our world, and it operates through us in our everyday lives. Why should this matter to you? In the theme of this conference, Think Again, you're specifically being encouraged to first, rethink everything you know. Second, to identify everything, all of the habits. You see, there it goes. Identify the thought habits that contribute to our greatest problems. And third, open your minds to new possibilities. This morning, I am inviting you to rethink your relationship to the war metaphor as a thought habit that greatly contributes to the biggest problems in our world. And I'm inviting you to open your mind to an alternative that we can use to change the world by changing what we think, what we communicate, and what we do. Let's start with what we think. Metaphors are concepts that refer or define something, one thing, as if it were something else. In their book, Metaphors We Live By, published in 1980, George Lakoff and Mark Johnson said that metaphors not only govern our thoughts, but the way we function in the world down to the details of our daily lives. What details? Well, do you ever go searching for personal care products, and reach for the one that promises to kill the germs that are invading your mouth or your skin? What about baby clothes, infant wear, that's in the form of sports uniforms? That child is learning from the very beginning of their life who their family roots for, and soon they will learn who that family is against. And later, that child may be a victim or a participant in a riot or a fight after a soccer, football, or hockey game. It happens, not so much in Canada, I see, as it does in other parts of the world, but it does happen. So we have a metaphor that, let's rethink this. We have a metaphor that is based on a set of assumptions. The assumptions are, life is war. Differences are dangerous. You are the enemy and you're wrong. We're the heroes and we're right. And our goal is to defeat or eliminate you so that all could be right with the world. Let's rethink that. So we have a metaphor driving us that could, with the technology and weapons of today, literally annihilate us as all of life and devastate our planet. And it keeps us in the old thought habits that keep us fighting each other over and over again. And it operates largely outside of our awareness and often against our intentions. There must be a better way. There is. Change the metaphor, change the world. The metaphor that I find most promising for this is improvisation. Improvisation is based on virtually the opposite assumptions of the war metaphor. Improvisation, as I understand it, is based on the assumption that life is creativity, not war. That differences are not dangerous, they're gifts. That you can't possibly be completely wrong and you have something to offer. We can't possibly be completely right and we have something to offer. And our goal should not be to spend our energy defeating each other, but to work together to create something new in the world. Imagine if that's the way the world worked. Imagine how that would impact your life. What if what is unique and different about you, your gender, your generation, the color of your skin and the texture of your hair, your cultural background, your unique individual point of view, what if that was seen as a gift, as instead of something that requires rejection and fighting, or invites rejection and fighting? What if it was valuable instead of dangerous? And for your part, what if you, when encountering someone who is very different from you, what if it sparked in you your curiosity and your creativity instead of your outrage? So we've talked about our thinking, changing the assumptions. What about communication? In the war metaphor, how do we do this on a daily basis? One great way that we do it is some variation on two words, no and but. The no is when we reject what someone that's different, what they say, because we have decided in advance that they're always wrong. And it becomes warlike because when we listen We talk about listening being a very important thing to do. When we're in that mode of us against them, we listen for ammunition to use against them. Think about the posts and headlines on the social media to slay them, to destroy them with what we say. And then if we use the but, that is an arrogance. No, you're wrong, but we are right. And it's based on the absolutely ridiculous assumption that we are always right. Do you see how dangerous this is? We're in a world, partially we've helped create it, but we're in a world that's more complex and different than the world has ever been before. So we need the wisdom that's in all the different perspectives that already exist, but we need more than that. We need people to be able to think together so we can think what has never been thought before. That's what the world needs. Improvisation offers an alternative to no but. Many of you might already know it. It's called yes and. So yes, saying yes doesn't mean you automatically agree with what's offered. It means you're accepting it in the moment with the possibility of discovering the gift within it. And followed by the and frees you from recycling your old thought habits and helps you to build on what they have said rather than try to tear it down. And it gives you the opportunity to perhaps surprise yourself. In a beginning improvisation class I took, the instructor picked me and my good friend Katie to demonstrate yes and in front of the group. He said, Edree, I want you to accept anything Katie says with yes and. And he said, Katie, I want you to give her something that she can really work with, something provocative. She was respectful. She was younger than me, so she was trying to be respectful. But she knew that I really wanted to learn, and she wanted to learn, so she was reluctant, but she finally summoned up the courage and said, Edree, you're a piece of shit. Now, those would be normally fighting words where I come from. But I was really committed to learning. So I found myself saying, yes. And then, as if by magic, something popped into my mind and out of my mouth. And my yes was followed by, and dogs love to sniff me, and people are really, really respectful not to step on me. Now, that experience really deepened my friendship with Katie, but I'm not suggesting you try it with your friends. Lastly, our actions. What are the war metaphor actions? One of the most common is blaming. Blaming is a finger-pointing exercise. How does it feel being pointed at? How does it feel watching someone else be pointed at? How does it feel pointing at someone else? Uncomfortable? What if we took it up a little intensity? One of the things that science has shown is that the brain doesn't really distinguish between a perception and a real action. This is a finger and a thumb. Does it feel very uncomfortable? Well, let's take it gangster a little bit and see what that does. That's what it's like. That's what it feels like to be blamed. it feels like an attack. So what do you do when you feel like you're being attacked? You spend your energy defending, counterattacking, or just being victimized. What a waste of energy. Of course, improvisation has an alternative, and it's called ensemble, or as I like to put it, we're all in this together, truly. We're all in this together. So the idea is that people are sharing responsibility or their ability to respond to something new in improv. Scientists are using functional MRIs, and they notice that they scan the brains of musicians, for example, when they're improvising, either individually or with others, that it shuts down or quiets down, doesn't shut down, it quiets down the parts of our brain that really focus on judgments, and it sparks the creativity. So what if you were freed to experience another person as a catalyst for you to grow? How do we do this? How does it work in everyday life? Is it just a pipe dream? Well, I had an experience with a white biker a few years ago. White bikers, during the Black Power in the 70s, probably before many of you were around, I was programmed, or that was part of the program, was to hate, fear, judge white bikers. And then I find myself in a learning group where the facilitator of the small learning was a white biker dude, great big guy, big beard, denim and leather, huge guy. But I decided to stay in the group. And my experience with him was amazing. He made it safe, the environment, the learning environment, so safe that I could be vulnerable and share my truth. And actually, the truth I shared with the group was my judgments and fears about white bikers. And eventually what happened was we were both changed by that. So for example, one way I was changed was because he became a human being to me, I stereotyped it. Okay, all white bikers are human beings. And the filters that I used to filter out the good that they did and only focus on the things I thought were scary, those filters went down. And I started noticing the good. So for example, the bikers that go around protecting kids who are being abused at home, or the ones that decided to protect poet, Nobel-nominated Maya Angelou from protesters, her funeral, even though they didn't believe the way she believed. And Larry, evidently he was changed too, because a few months later, he and his wife visited me. I was in hospital, I had a surgery, and I was recuperating in hospital. And Larry brought his teddy bear to keep me company and help me heal. When he went out for coffee, his wife said, "You don't understand what's going on here. Nobody ever gets to touch Larry's teddy bear." And he loaned it to me. So, we can do this. How can we do it? Well, one way is that I could stand here and attempt to manipulate your fear, your anger, and your anxiety, and try to rally you up to go declare war on the war metaphor. Instead, let's do it differently. Let's breathe it in gently. Not slowly, because it is urgent. We know that we need things quickly. but we can do quickly and gently. So I'd like to encourage you to make those 3 shifts, all 3. I'm not just going to ask you to do one. To first take the step of disconnecting from the automatic war thinking. I guarantee you're going to be thinking about this. Oh my God, I said it, I did it. Somebody came to me, the last time I did this talk, somebody came to me, ran up to me afterwards and said, oh my God, you killed it. You brought it alive. So I put that little bug in your ear. But that you'll become aware and that you will make some changes because there is momentum for the war metaphor. The second one is that you, as this conference is asking you to disconnect from the enemy making and turn to your neighbors, starting with the ones that are in this building, and recognize each person as your neighbor on this tiny planet. And lastly, I'm going to ask you to do call and response, so get ready. Okay, I was told Canadians are a little bit more reserved, but I'm going to ask you. So, I would like to invite you to practice saying yes and to ideas, to people who present ideas that are different from you, and see what happens. So, the call and response. Are you ready to even consider doing that?
Yes.
Wonderful. And I thank you.